Welcome to this week's video. This week, it's a mess in here and I'm living in here until it's fixed. This workbench isn't much use because it has no space for me to work on it. There's been crap piled up against that wall for months now. Am I really expected to work on bikes in this bike workshop? Look at that. Look at my server rack. Cable management? What cable man? That's a fridge and then there's carpet on the floor? Why don't these things have homes? Menko's litter box doesn't have a home. It's just been sitting here since we got back from the aqueduct. Hell, it's almost May and there's still Christmas decorations out. All of that and more is gonna be taken care of in this video, possibly my most productive ever. And when I say I will be living in my shop, I mean it. This house will essentially not exist to me. The only exception is that I will be getting a supply drop once per day from my partner Leah if I forget any tools or supplies or anything that I really need to get this thing tidy. And you might have noticed that there's no plumbing in here, no bathroom, no nothing. I will be taking number ones in the backyard, number twos down the street at the gas station, and I just will not be showering. Just be glad you don't have smell-o-vision. All right, all of the ground rules out of the way. I'm gonna head inside, take my last shower, use the restroom for the last time, and grab all of the essential supplies that I think I'll need. Well, I think I've just about got everything here, so let the challenge begin. So I think my first two steps are getting this table cleared off so I can use that as my desk because I will be working from home while I'm out here, and getting that fridge working because that's how I'm gonna keep my food and stuff cold. So this I've been using as my toolbox table, my workbench, though I am gonna be looking for a bit of a mobile workbench as this process goes on because I would like to have a rolling table that I can wheel around to whatever car or motorcycle I'm working on. All right, we have a desk. I want to put this here because this general area of the shop's pretty tidy. However, I want to go figure out where we're going to store that fridge because I do intend to use it and I have a bunch of stuff sitting out that I took out of the house earlier that's getting warm. All right, I think I want to store this fridge over in that corner there because there's nothing really there. However, I do need to clear it a path as you can see on the floor here. All right, let's get all my cold stuff loaded into there, including the 10 gallons of water that I brought with me so I don't die of dehydration. And to be clear, this fridge is not out here specifically for this challenge. It's just out here for storage because as you saw in the recent video where we camped at the aqueduct, we had to bring that other fridge over because they rented this tiny fridge with this place. So yeah, I think I have the basics for food. I've got breakfast and lunch for the next 3 days taken care of, and then for dinner I'll probably go grab something, or maybe Leah and I will collab on that. For actual cooking with like heat, I have access to the barbecue and the propane stove, so I pretty much have access to a stove and an oven. All right, now let's get my work set up for working tomorrow. With that, we can get started on tidying, I suppose. All right, so this lawnmower is in here waiting to get its blade sharpened, so we're gonna do that first and get this thing out of here because it actually doesn't live in here, it lives in a different little shed. Well, that's a great example of what an organized shop can do for you. I need a 14 millimeter for this thing, and I don't know where that socket is. Fortunately, I'm just missing the impact. I actually do have a different socket that I need. There's our blade. Looks like we need to sharpen these edges. So do note that I don't actually know what I'm doing here. I'm just gonna try my best to make this edge here sharp. Well, I think we're gonna call that good enough for a lawnmower blade at least. Well, I just mowed, but I just can't help myself to test it out and see if it helps. I don't know, man. I can run while mowing now, so that's pretty good. It's not very tall, but still. I think that's an improvement. Hey, there we go, one thing down and you can't even tell. Next up, I think we're gonna tackle the server room over there because I think a lot of the parts and stuff for cars are gonna need to be shelved in there, and we're also gonna make good use of this thing. This is a label maker. It's gonna be a lifesaver. We're gonna have everything in there on the shelves labeled. All right, I think I'm gonna finalize that and start printing some labels. All right, everything on this shelf is now labeled. Now I need to deal with that shelf behind the camera. I think I'm gonna postpone labeling this shelf because it might still move around as I bring more stuff out here if it needs to come out here. This thing's scaring me, by the way. You might have noticed that we freed up a tote. I think that is going to become our rubbish tote because that's all the junk you saw on the floor over here earlier. Also, I realized we haven't taken care of this carpet here. I think that's gonna go on top of this shelf where I just put that car mat. Good reflexes there. Pro filming tip, do not try to pick up the thing that the camera is sitting on top of. Well, it's already looking a lot better in here, but still looks like a mess somehow. He says as if he doesn't know why. So I think this server rack that I have might have been originally designed for audio equipment based on a few things, but also the fact that this door doesn't close, neither does the back one without cranking the cables over. So I think I need to take these doors off and maybe store them up there underneath that carpet. Whoa, got her. I think I realized the first thing I need to call in a supply drop for. I forgot all of my cable management stuff. I don't have any cable ties. I don't have the magnetic cable management. None of it. So I'm gonna text her and she's gonna put those out for me to grab later tonight. All that said, we're gonna have to tackle the server rack a little later, which I'm sure you don't mind because that's probably gonna be one of the more boring parts. Nope. That's why I'm stuck out here until this is organized. After that, I kind of feel like I've made some progress and I'm ready to go inside, but I can't. So I'm gonna take a breather here and then I guess get back to it. As I was sitting here, I thought of like 4 other things that I need out here, such as my wallet. I can't, drive anywhere or get anything without it. So I've added those to the list and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do next. All right, since I can't really do the server rack stuff, let's just try and get everything up off of the floor and maybe tackle tidying up my bike workshop area here. All right, I think aside from the server rack, we are pretty much done in here. Oh, I lied, I still need to do the bike table. All right, there we go. Now I might actually be motivated to work on a bicycle at some point now that I have a working surface. Oh, man, now with that taken care of, it's time to start working on the nightmare that is the main shop area. I guess this is my sink for the week. Well, I've run into the dilemma number 2 for being disorganized. I know there's a tape measure out here somewhere, but I can't find it. And I sort of need a tape measure to be able to measure the size of this table that I'm thinking about going and looking at. Well, I've added to the list of stuff that I need out here when Leah is able to give me my supply drop. The meal we were supposed to have tonight was going to be something that needed to be prepped inside, and so I can no longer do that, so I need to go grab something from the store. All the essentials, they were on sale, don't judge me. You're never gonna guess what sort of delicacy I have for dinner tonight. This was a grill that was free to us, and it's struggling to get over like 200, 250 right now, so I'm just gonna start throwing stuff on it, and I think it's just gonna take a while to cook. We've got some asparagus, as well as a completely homemade pizza that I'll show you in a minute. Ah yes, our homemade pizza. I'll go strap you up on the trellis so you can explore. So this says $4.25 for 12 minutes. I don't think we're anywhere close to this homemade pizza box. So I don't know, it's gonna take a minute. What you doing, kitty? Watching the birds? I think these guys got a little overdone. They're a little crispy, some of them. Our pizza, on the other hand, is nowhere close. It's burnt yet al dente. Interesting. I think this pizza is as good as done. That took forever. We are not going to be using this barbecue again, I don't think. Man, for how long this took, it's actually turned out really good. For a homemade pizza, of course, Well, now I guess that barbecue's going in the list of things to get taken to rummage or thrown out. I might list it for free on Craigslist or something. Well, quite a while later, I think I've got most of the stuff on the floor here, and I'm just realizing that the stuff on the back wall there is not part of that, so give me a second. Alright, looks like a bomb's gone off in here, and well, that's because all the shelves are empty. So honestly, it doesn't look like there's too much on the floor considering how much crap there was on the shelves. Our next job is to put all this stuff back onto the shelves in some sort of organized manner. Watch me actually only be living out here for like a day or 2. Turns out when you actually put your mind to it and force yourself to do it, it's not that bad. It still looks like a mess in here, and I'm running out of light. Don't pay attention to the fact that I have 2 big bright lights right here. It's 8 o'clock right now, which means I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 hours, which doesn't sound like too long when I put it that way, but it sure feels like a long time. And it's getting chilly, so we're gonna close up the garage. Speaking of it getting chilly, I just realized that in this bag I packed a lot of clothes, but no outerwear because I wasn't really anticipating it being hot. Obviously I have my sweatshirt, but nothing else besides that. So that could be a little interesting. I do have all the camping gear, so I have sleeping stuff. Suppose you get down to 41 tonight, and I might be a little chilly. At least this shop isn't. Wait, this shop is heated. What am I talking about? I'll be fine. I might flick on the heat. Oh no, I've already turned off the pilot light though. Never mind. I've also listed some of the stuff we don't need anymore on Facebook Marketplace, such as that useless grill out there. I listed that for free, as well as a few other things that I want to get rid of. If they don't disappear within the next couple of days, then I'll just have to, like the grill, I can take that to scrap metal. There's a lot of metal there. Man, I'm really starting to think this is a stupid idea. All I want to do right now is go inside, either sit at my computer, watch some TV, just unwind. But I'm gonna have to do it right here, I guess. Lee has dropped us off a little company here. She's gonna look around the shop. I've made sure all the toxic fluids and such are out of the way. Well, it's got to be 11 o'clock. I suppose it's time for me to figure out where I'm gonna be sleeping tonight, considering I gotta be up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, my first thought is I've got a big old couch sitting here next to me. Let's try that out. I mean, it's not bad, it's just I'm a little too tall. I'm thinking I'll be comfier if I'm just on a sleeping pad on the floor. I would sleep in that room over there except for the server noise, so I think I'm gonna sleep in here. That said, I need to clear a spot that won't put any holes in my sleeping pad. Well, we found another thing that I forgot, a pillow, so I'll just be using one of these sleeping bag liners as one. Well, I guess this is bed for tonight. Well, I've got the only nightlight fit for a shop here. Man, this is no different than camping really, but it feels so much different. I want nothing more right now than to just go sleep in my own bed. It's just right over there. I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning for a little more cleaning up of the shop. I am so ready to be done with this project. I thought it'd be funny and kind of fun, and well, I'm not having any fun, but I guess that's why I'm out here. All right, I guess that's it. Good night.
Morning. Slept pretty well. I was a little chilly actually.
Parked one in the trees before?
Oh no.
Yeah.
I didn't get that far. Mine was too broken. I got tired of working on it.
Bucks.
So you might be looking at this shop now and thinking that we are done. Everything's off of the floor. We've got everything nice and organized over here, more or less. And well, the issue I have right now is that more or less part. And so I'm thinking I want to buy a rolling toolbox. I could put all of those containers in there. I could put all my electrical stuff in there. I could put my miscellaneous tools that don't really have a home in there. I think it's really what I want to do. I've got a lead on a couple of them, but they aren't really available right now for me to pick them up. So I don't know how that's gonna go. In the meantime, I think I want to clear everything off of the top up here, so I can use this as a workbench. This shop, as you might have noticed, has limited workspace. And so I think I want that over there and this over here to be completely clear and ready for working at all times. So I'm gonna reorganize this a little bit more really quick here. All right, now I have quite a bit of workbench space, even if it is all like really narrow 1 foot workbench. The goal is just gonna be to keep crap from piling up on it. With how well everything fit down here, now I'm even second guessing my need for a toolbox. Well, while I think on whether I need a toolbox or a workbench or not, I think it's time to get the server rack cable managed. I'm sure it'll be really boring for you, so all you get is a time lapse. Now that's one damn good looking server rack. I even found my big tape measure that I had lost. I guess that's the whole goal of this thing. Well, now I need to decide what I'm gonna do for a toolbox and or workbench. It seems like the toolbox that has the wooden slab on top so it can function as both is sort of a newer concept, and so you don't see a lot of those around. Used, I mean. So basically, for $700, I can have my perfect toolbox. It goes there, it has a wood top for a workbench, it has 10 drawers. It'd be great. For $275, I could have something that'd probably be good enough. It's a little too narrow, so I wouldn't have quite as big of a workspace. It's not quite as deep. Again, my workspace wouldn't be as big. It does have 15 drawers though, so I'd be able to organize better. Well, I think on that some more. I think I'd have some more labeling to do. So I didn't want to label the tools because if I do get a toolbox, this is all going to change, but I printed out stuff for the stuff that's like going to be here forever, like the motorcycle gear, the car wash stuff. So I think I'm gonna skip the expensive toolbox. I don't actually need a toolbox, and considering I'm renting, I'd rather buy a place and then get the perfect toolbox for that place, whereas I think I'll only be here for another, year or two. However, if that used one does pan out this coming Sunday when they're available to sell it, I think I will pick that up, because theoretically it shouldn't lose near as much value and I can just sell it if it doesn't work for my next place. All that to say, I think I'm done out here, which is weird. Oh, and we are left with this mess. A lot of this stuff is just stuff that needs to go inside. Some of it is car parts that I forgot to include with the sale of cars, and some of it's stuff that needs to be sold, and finally we've got garbage. Our cans are full right now, so I guess this stuff will hang out until that gets taken out on Monday. I just found the last tool that I couldn't find. It was underneath the Oldsmobile. It was my 14mm impact. It's time to move the Subaru back in here. I haven't been parking it in here because it's been too filthy. Man, this is awesome. It's really nice to have all the space, especially when the Christmas lights back. Now I can get the Shadow out and the Subaru out and the Oldsmobile out whenever I want without having to move anything. I almost think I've done a good enough job to deserve that $700 toolbox, but I'm gonna go for the budget option, I think. You might notice that both of the cars are kind of angled to that direction, and that's actually really good. Let me show you why. So having the Subaru Loyale or whatever other car parked angled this way means that I have space for this table right here, as well as I can get my tools over on this shelf better. And having the Oldsmobile here angled this way means that I have a lot more space up here in the front, which means I can angle that car that way and still get around it. Man, I'm really happy with what I've accomplished over these couple of days. Well, before we cut to Sunday to see if Joel actually goes and gets that used toolbox, should you do this? And that's kind of a hard question. I think if you're like me and you really like to focus on one thing for a long time until it's done, it's probably some ADHD or something, then actually, yeah, this was a really good way for me to get a lot of stuff done in my off time on the weekday without letting myself get distracted. Will I do this again? I hope not. My goal now is to keep this organized. I always say that and it never happens, but that you could always change, and I'm just gonna try and do a lot better. All right, I guess cut to Sunday to see if Joel gets that toolbox. I gotta tidy up my setup in here and I guess take it inside. Well, this feels kind of weird, but I guess it's time to close up the shop and head inside. I made it to Sunday. It's time to grab the trailer and the Volvo and head over and get that toolbox. On our way, still no power steering. Well, I don't like filming people, but as you can see behind us, there is a big black box on the trailer back there. Alright, well, now I need to tear down my temporary workbench / work setup and get all my tools thrown in this thing and see how it looks over there. There were no monsters, still I'm chasing balloons. Alright, now it's time to print some labels so I can find my stuff. Man, I was thinking I was going to have extra space that I could fill up, but with all my tools, this thing's basically perfectly full. So yeah, I'm really happy with this purchase. I do wish that this toolbox, this top part came out, because that's where all of my wrenches are. So I wish I could pop that out of here and put it in one of these drawers, but instead I'm just setting this whole thing on top here, though that might change. I still have to decide if I want to put a wood slab on top of it, because it would be nice to have a better surface, but also it's already pretty tall, and that would be a lot of work. And then I can move this around to anywhere in my shop I want to work. If I'm working on the Oldsmobile behind the camera there, I can drag it over there and I will be more likely to put my tools away. Well, if you enjoyed watching me clean my shop and live in it for some reason, then hit the like button. If you want to see me clean my shop in the future, though hopefully not for a really long time or ever, I'm going to try and keep it tidy from now on, then hit the subscribe button. And if you think I need any new tools now that I've got space to store them, well, leave a comment down below. Or if you've done this, if you've lived in your shop until it's clean, then I want to hear about it. That would be interesting. I guess that's all I've got. Thanks so much for watching. Let's get this trailer put away. Yo, that is so rad. I'm so stoked on this.